So I was in third grade. Okay. My mom used to walk me to school every day. Again, my mother is a black woman and I'm light skinned. When we get to the school and my mom kissed me goodbye, the kids started teasing me. And it was happening often. And the kids were saying, that is not your mommy. You're white and she's explicit and she's black. And now I'm from England, okay? And so coming to this country, I was still, young enough that I remember more of England than America at the time. And I didn't understand what that meant because I had never paid attention to the fact that my mother was darker skinned than I was. She was just my mom. I didn't notice. So I felt uncomfortable and I felt embarrassed. I didn't know why they were saying that. And so here I am, third grade. I go home to my mom and I say to her, Mom, I don't want you to take me to school anymore. And she says to me, well, why? And I said, well, because I'm embarrassed because you're black and I'm white. And my mother wept and she cried and she told me I was ashamed of her. And how could you say something like that? And my mom was in so much pain. And I remember the feeling, third grade, of feeling misunderstood and feeling insecure about expressing myself. And I didn't know what to say because my intention wasn't to hurt my mom's feelings. I just didn't know why they were teasing. I didn't understand. And that was the only way I could comprehend it. Mm-hmm. So growing up, even though that was buried deep in my mind, it always made me feel insecure. So if I were around people who didn't understand me or misunderstood what I was saying or what have you, and I felt like I was going to hurt their feelings or whatever when I was trying to articulate myself, it literally made me really emotional inside. And I didn't even know that it stemmed from that story until I started doing some work and trying to understand, why do I get so angry when people misunderstand me? And it was my I had to do my own coaching and so on and so forth. And I know it's a long-winded story, but it's to the point of what I guess I'm trying to make here is that sometimes the insecurities that we have are so deep rooted. They stem from one simple story that just continued to grow because you didn't get your healing or your clarity in that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I say we can talk about insecurities, but how do people overcome them?
So people are saying there's a difference how these kids were raised as biracial, when they have a black mom or when they have a white mom. There's a difference on how they grow up and how they see themselves as an identity. So is it true? So let me know about this. Okay, we're gonna discuss this at the end. So kindly subscribe to my channel. And yes, when you look at social media platform, there is a difference, and I'm gonna talk about it more at the end.
Since we're on the topic of race, I think that this is a great story time opportunity to talk about my upbringing. I have a black mother and a white father. Growing up, I didn't know that I was different, but I knew that something was supposed to be a secret. Trigger warning, this is about racial passing and my experience growing up in my hometown back in the day. We moved from another state, and my grandma, who's white, she kept telling me, you can't go around telling people that your mom is black. You have to tell them that that's the nanny. When you go to school, like, don't mention your mom. It's like, why? I remember asking her why. And she was like, because it's gonna be harder for you. They're gonna treat you differently. They're gonna put you in stupid classes and all this stuff that she was telling me. But I knew for my grandmother, it was more of a social aspect. She didn't want people knowing that her grandchildren were like half black. In this elementary school I went to, I noticed that double fountains, not just like a small one and a big one, but it was like a small one and a big one and then another small one and a big one next to them. And it was always near the bathrooms. And I always questioned, why is there two girls' bathrooms like so close to each other and two boys' bathrooms so close to each other? I didn't know that my school was at one point a segregated school. Two black people in my whole school. Everyone else was white. My hair would curl because of the humidity, and my grandma wanted to erase the black. She wanted to erase the black. Back in the day, there was something called Japanese perms, a relaxer, and I would just remember my scalp burning in the shower. Other things that she would do, she would like When you go to like the beauty supply store and you see like those like special soaps, she would put all those soaps on me and tell me like stay in the shade, squeeze my nose, thinking that it'll make it smaller. Starts questioning you, just say that you're Italian. And it's just crazy. So there was this black boy named Jeremy that like joined our class like mid-year. When I tell you, that's when I learned that they'll treat you differently. Jeremy wasn't allowed to go on the blacktop. Jeremy had to stay inside. Jeremy, obviously like schools have like funding for like kids that can't go to like certain like field trips. They'll leave Jeremy behind. The kids would call Jeremy and like the teachers would just like laugh about it. And always felt like Jeremy knew that I was part black, but he didn't like no. Like he like felt it but didn't know. That's when I noticed like, oh shit, if I tell someone I'm black, like I'm gonna be treated like Jeremy. So I just didn't tell anyone. It wasn't like I was ashamed or something, but I was taught like this was something bad. There would be like parent teacher conference and my grandmother would show up in replacing my mom. My mom's very submissive, very sweet woman. Oh, you can't show up. You're gonna ruin this family. You're gonna ruin her opportunities if you tell people. I'm not one of those like self-hating. I'm not here like, oh, don't look at my mom. Like none of that. Like me and my mom were really cool. Like we really chill. She was just here like yesterday. But my grandma, trials and tribulations. So my mom one day randomly decided to show up to the elementary school and it was my birthday. When people saw my mom, they thought it was the nanny. I guess I slipped and said mom. This girl, I forgot what her name was, like Crystal or whatever. She was like, and I was like, no, I'm not. So this Crystal girl went around, told everybody that I'm actually like black and making fun of me. They said, oh, that's why your hair looks like it's electrocuted. Like my teachers started asking me, they're like, are you? I was like, no, that's my nanny. That's not my mom. And I remember going home and I asked my mom, I was like, why can't I tell people you're my mom? And she was like, it's just for your own good. The moral of this story with the elementary school is that if I ended up telling people that I was black, I would have been in like these horrible classes. I wouldn't have been taught properly. I wouldn't have gotten like the new textbooks. They gave the black kids the old ass textbooks and had them in a different class. Like they would come for certain classes but not all the classes, and you could just tell that they were like a little behind with school. And then I knew that I was getting like good education, but I always like, it was nothing that I was like, oh, I'm ashamed of being this. It was like, why do I have to keep this secret? And nobody looked like me. And I was just so confused as a kid. But then when I got to high school, that's when I started noticing that people say some wild ass shit. I went to high school, people started calling people hard ERs. There's more black people. And nobody knew. And then I think it was my junior year, I just like told everyone, I'm like, you guys know I'm half black, right? Nobody believed me. This is my mom, showing them pictures, showing them my cousins and all this stuff. I like finally, like I used to like relax my hair like all the time. And then I finally like let my hair grow. I just like lived in my truth. And they treated me a little differently after that. But I felt so happy to just like not live with this weird secret. But then now I understand why my mom, well, it wasn't really my mom, it was my grandma. It was not like the imitation of art where I was trying to disown my mother and live my life as a white woman. That was not the case. I don't know, like as an adult looking back at it, I can imagine how confused I was as a child. I never like I said, hated my mom or felt like I was ashamed of being black. I just knew that I saw that if I told people, I would be treated differently. And so that's where the whole like light skin privilege and all this stuff and this whole biracial talk that's going on TikTok is like trending because they're like, you don't know what it's like. And yeah, like I don't know what it's like, but I saw, and I also had a black mom, and I saw her experiences, and I saw how like my father's family treated her. And to this day, I don't really like fuck with them like that.
So I have a beautiful black mom. Here she is for reference. I mean, there's no denying that she's a beautiful melanated goddess. But the thing is, I always thought that everyone else found her beautiful, regardless of sexual orientation, creed, skin color. And then I was exposed to racism. I remember being 7 and playing around in our random little Belgian village and having this kid walk up to me and say, "Your mom is ugly and dirty because she's the color of poo." Now, I was absolutely stunned because I was literally minding my own 7-year-old business, and this kid went out of his way to come and spew hate in my face. I replied with, "No, she's the cleanest, most beautiful woman I've ever seen." And then the kid goes, "No, people that are the color of poo can't be pretty, and you're her daughter, so you're poo too." And then just walks away. I was so shocked and hurt, not even about what the kid said about me, but for my mother. I mean, that day was so traumatizing, I don't even think I ever told her. That's the moment I realized that not everyone thought my mom was beautiful, and it internalized this sort of perception that beauty only comes in one shade. The kid was probably my age and saying things that had never even crossed my mind at that point. My mom is still the baddest, prettiest, and nicest person I know because she never taught me to hate.
As a black mum to mixed ethnicity kids, one thing that I'm not going to let happen is let any other black person make my child feel like they're not black enough. Like, I don't care. I do not care if you look like me. You are not going to make my children feel like they're not black enough. Black, blue, yellow, green, I will throw hands if my children feel less than because you, as a black person, feel like they're not black because they do not look black. Look, blackness and race is a multiplicity of things. I'm seeing people say that, race is about what you look like and to your phenotype. And of course it is. But the long history of colonialism, slavery, racism has also meant that race is quite political. You get me? As a black mum to mixed kids, I promise to do my part to teach my children about how they benefit from their proximity to whiteness. So they will also know when to not take up space on matters that don't concern them. They will also learn about colorism and also learn that they might receive preferential treatment in certain spaces because of the fact that they do not look like money. However, if my child wants to say they are black, they are black. They are black. And that is because of their proximity to me as their black mother. Yes, they might not have the same color skin as me, but politically and in some spaces, they are going to be treated differently and othered because of the fact that they have features closer to mine, not completely like mine, but more like mine than their fathers, or the fact that they have a black mother, they are going to be othered and treated differently. So if my child wants to say that they are black, please, black people, concern yourself with your own matters and the own races of your child, not mine. And I guess I'm just getting so riled up by it because it does make me a little bit angry to think that it's potentially going to be black groups that make my child feel like they're not enough. And that just really hurts me because it just feels like this is the product of racism, colonialism, and slavery. Not them doing it to us, but us doing it to each other. Us othering people because, oh yeah, you don't experience the same harsh levels of racism I experience, so therefore you're not black. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And it did for them, hence why we are where we are. So like, let's not do the same things and create the same mess and replicate those same mistakes. Yes, biracial people should not take up space where matters don't necessarily concern them. Yes, they should be aware of how colorism benefits them, but to deny them blackness and that proximity to their parent that is black or the ethnicity and culture so rich in blackness, no, we need to do better as a group of black people. Like, we can't be doing this, and no one's doing this to my children.
Slavery is the difference between black mom biracials and white mom biracials. It's a tale as old as time, okay? Black women were forced to have the children of slave masters. White women were upset that there was a child, not that their husband was a rapist. That's a whole nother conversation. But that child received so much torture and hate from that white woman because it was black. There was a huge problem, an inherent bias, okay? Versus that black woman raising that child as her own because she didn't have no choice. There was still love provided to that child from that mother because of the fact that it's a one-drop rule. That baby's black, it's going with black people. You're going to understand the culture because black culture, especially in America, is to be immersed. Fast forward to today, a black mom biracial knows blackness because she was born through it, not to it. No shade. No shade when I said that, but she was born through it, not to it, okay? Nobody has to teach her anything. She's firsthand getting knowledge from the person, from the creator. No shade, but it's different when you get it from the source versus when you have to ask for it. Y'all have a good day.
Seen this lady make a video about how biracial kids are putting down other biracial kids if you have a black mom and if you have a white mom. Now, does it make you any less or more black? I don't really think so. I think it's one half dozen of the other altogether. Now, when it comes down to culturally, there is a big difference. Your mother is your nurturer. It's the one that shows you how to go through life. I could tell just by the way you're talking, your mother was white. I could tell by the way it comes off. Like, there's just a certain energy a black mother's gonna give to their kid that a white mother can't give to their kid. It's just not there. And I'm not trying to speak for the entire community of black people, but a lot of the time, if a black man gets married to a white woman, he has to suppress some of his blackness to cater to that white woman and their family. It just happens. But as a black women were oppressed for so long, they will never change how they move for a white man. So a white man will have to accept this black woman, how she comes and how she wants to raise her family. Think about it like this. If your father is black and your mother is white, your dad liked your mother for a reason. There's certain characteristics of the white woman and the white people he enjoys. So of course the mother of his kids will be teaching the baby how to be a lot like her. So put it in reverse. Think about having a white dad and a black mom. The white dad probably really liked the blackness coming from that woman right there. He probably really enjoyed that he was with a black woman. It was probably his favorite thing in the world. So he allows her to teach that kid how she sees fit.
I'm the biracial daughter of a black woman who hated being black. One of the most common questions on any video that I post about this topic is my mom biracial? My grandparents on my mother's side are black. My grandmother is a black woman. So when my grandma got pregnant with my mom, she had two people that she was consistently dating. It was a black man and a white man. When my mother was born, she came out very melanated. She didn't look when she was a child how she does now. How she looks now is because of years of skin bleaching, staying out of the sun, and medical issues. That's important because we need to think of the context of the story as how she was presenting at the time. When my mother was born, she came out more melanated. So the white family assumed that she belonged to the black man because she looked like him. And that's how it remained. But when my mother was in her late teenage years, my grandmother was murdered. Now, the black man who they thought was her father was in jail. So the white man stepped up because he was still in love with my grandmother, even though they hadn't been together for years, and adopted my mother. But his family hated her because she was black, and they treated her as such. I'm talking emotional abuse, physical abuse, SA. They were absolutely vile to her. And they always tied it back to her being black. They always tied it back to the fact that they didn't believe that she was the white man's baby. That happened until she met my father. Now, my father claims to have saved her from the house, but my father was just as racist towards my mother. So she was hearing what she was hearing in the house after her mother died. She was hearing it with her husband. Then now she has mixed children. So that's where I feel the internalized racism is coming from.
Now, I know it's running a little bit long, but I think this part's interesting and y'all would want to hear about it. So she's never been formally DNA tested, but I did find out right before we went no contact that she had an ancestry report done a couple of years ago. So initially she refused to show me. She told me she had her own truth. I didn't need to know what was on there, X, Y, and Z, anything to keep me from looking at it. And eventually she starts breaking down in tears and she says, "What do you want to know, Noelle? You want to know that it says that I'm black? Do you want to know if it says that I'm black?" It does. She tells me that it doesn't change anything, that she still has her own truth, that it doesn't even matter, and I don't need to see it. So I've never seen it. I don't want to be too skeptical, but what I think happened is I think when she got that ancestry report back, it confirmed some things for her that she probably didn't want to believe or she didn't want to be true. So, and that makes me sad for her, honestly.
Hey, I don't mean to cause no uproar in the biracial community, but don't you realize that 90% of the cool biracial kids have black mamas, like their mama is black? Like, and the black woman knows that she black. So what she's going to teach her biracial kids? That they're black. And then the white dad is always like one of them cool uncles that like, that just shows up like at the cookout. Like he knows his place. He don't overstep, but he know he there just chilling and shit. When it comes to, and I'm going to use me for example, when dumbass black dudes go get white women pregnant that truly don't even like black men. And we're not talking to the white women that actually loves and appreciate. I'm not using it like when we go get white women pregnant like that, that white woman always be like, they're mixed. Like that's what my baby mama did to me. I told my baby mama, my daughter is black. She's like, Mark, she's mixed. I'm like, no, she's black. And we constantly thought about that. And I met biracial kids that I knew their mother was white just by the way they act, because a biracial girl tried to fight me because of what I said one day. I said, your mama gotta be white. And what do that have to do with anything, huh? I said a lot.
I'm gonna make this a safe place for biracials who have a black mom and still don't know what it means to be black. And I know some of y'all are in a quiet place, low-key agreeing with some of these biracials with white mamas, and y'all don't want to come out to the woodworks and be like, yikes. But that's because people don't understand that there are also black women who hate themselves that they outside their race. For that exact reason. We only try to put those allegations on black men, but there are black women who straight naturals, perm their kids' hair, live in the suburbs with that white man who only send their kids to white schools, only hang around that white man's family, and only has white homegirls. So, you know, like, you know, you got a black mama, you don't know how to do your hair. Some of us are in two-parent black family homes and don't know how to do our hair. So it's like, it be certain shit, it be like, okay, yeah, maybe certain biracial shouldn't speak on certain shit, but then it just be like, why is the weight on a black woman to immerse everybody in the culture? Like, you feel me? And then why do just because somebody got a black mama that makes them more credible to talk on black shit? Some of these biracials with black mamas don't know shit. They don't. And that's okay. So don't let these people categorize y'all too much, because I know a lot of y'all are still confused.
Biracials become crash outs because they have nothing to compare themselves to. Your mother has to go outside of herself to understand you. And who's going to help her do that if the community shuts her out? To understand your hair, your skin, your body, your mentality, the way you grow, the way you should be compared on a birth chart. She literally is not going to understand. Okay? And she's going to go have to seek help. And let's just say nobody feels like helping a white woman that day. Guess what? You gonna walk around with the trope of, oh, black people didn't want me, white people. Now you gonna walk around with this trope that you developed from your white mother because she didn't know how to take care of you because you were a black baby. So when I say y'all crash outs, you're all crash outs. But it's because your mother doesn't understand you. And she decided to become the victim versus taking accountability. Damn, I'm white. I'm white in America. Being white in America is the problem that the other part of my child is going to have to deal with, which means that I'm a part of the problem. She's not going to do that. So then now you crashing out and telling us we don't understand and we don't accept you. But it all is coming, like the call is calling, like it's coming from inside the house, I fear. The call is coming from inside the house.
I'm biracial with a black mom who hated being black. And because she hated being black, she hated me for being white. There's something truly difficult about trying to help somebody that you love who is so engraved in internalized racism and so engraved in their trauma that they're not able to receive what you are offering to them. I didn't want to see my mother suffering just as much as I was tired of suffering from her abuse towards me because of her unresolved things. So I made it my responsibility through my life to emotionally regulate her, as well as try to do the internal work for her by gathering information from other families, from textbooks, history, and then bringing that to her to hopefully help guide her through unpacking. But here's some perspective I came across during one of my many sessions of rumination. It is difficult for some parents to accept help from their child, especially when they feel like they are supposed to be the one who is guiding.
The other thing is it's hard to listen to somebody who is a part of the trauma, because at the end of the day, I am a constant reminder of the differences that are between us, of her blackness, of my whiteness, of the relationship that she had with her family, with my father, with society. So the combination of all this really gave us this cotton balls in our ear type situation. So, she was never able to work through that.
If you're mixed, I would really love you to chime in, because this is something that I've been thinking about for years. I'm 50-50. I'm one black parent, one white parent, Caribbean Canadian. And I grew up in a small village in England. We were the black family up until 8 to 12 years old, somewhere around that. And I remember going to secondary school, and I immediately became friends with one of the kids from the oldest year group because he was black. It was just on sight. Me and him were immediately friends. I guess we had some common ground. And so I identified heavily with being black all the way up until I went to visit Turks and Caicos, where I went to a community gathering with one of my cousins, and one of his friends looked at me and was like, I fucking hate white people. I was like, fucking hate white people? Like, who? And dude, he was talking about me. He hated my existence because I was white to him. And so I realized then and there that I'm not white, I'm not black. I am in limbo, effectively. So a few years go on, and I move in to a house with a couple other mixed guys, a couple other fellow mixed brothers. And I feel like on some subconscious level, we were competing to see who was the blackest or who was the least white. No one wanted to be the whitest one amongst us. So, yeah, I guess now thinking about it, I'm kind of like, fuck, we were always running towards an identity or running away from an identity, but we were never just being ourselves. Or maybe that was ourselves at that point. Is our identity as light skins being in limbo? Please let me know. I mean, right now I don't even think about it. I don't identify with either, to be honest. I identify with being Brian.
I don't mean to be in biracial people business, but why do y'all keep talking about white mom versus black mom biracials and not white dad versus black dad biracials? Why did y'all put it on the mamas? We ain't got no smoke for the daddies. Nothing? Y'all be like, oh, they must got a white mom. They must got a white mom. What about they must got a black daddy? What about the daddy? What about the daddy that not passing on the culture? Nothing? Y'all didn't? No? I'm not in an interracial relationship, but I am in an intercultural one. And I can tell you 100%, it is entirely my husband's responsibility to pass on the culture to his children. I be trying, but there's only so much I can do. It's only so much I can do because it's not my culture. I would be sick if people were out there talking about American mom. Excuse me? What do this got to do with me? The mama. This ain't got nothing to do with me. This is on the daddy. Oh, and excuse the hand placement. It's not shade. It's just I had to block the company logo on the shirt. That's all.
All right. There's a big difference between a biracial kid raised by a black mom and a biracial kid raised by a white mom. So black women, when they have biracial kids, they always make an effort to see that these kids, they identify on both sides of the spectrum. They know their white culture and also they know their black culture. They make an effort, whether it's learning the language, whether it's know their history, whether it's knowing how to make their hair, how to dress, how to do things, and literally how to carry themselves in these two communities which are vastly different, so that they know who they are and to appreciate their worth, to know that they bring something on the table, to know that, they are loved by both sides of the spectrum. So literally you can see when these kids grow up, they know themselves, they know their worth, they know who they are, and yes, they embrace both sides of the coin. They'll tell you, I'm black because of this and this and this. Yes, I have my white side because of this. They know themselves, they know, and they're so confident about it, and they carry it with themselves very confidently. Because why? Because the black mom made an effort to learn about the both side of the spectrum, about their black side plus the white side, and they bring that knowledge to this child so that they can find their identity, so that they can be having that self-esteem and know that they are loved. Why? kids who are brought up by white mom and who are biracial, some end up saying, hey, they don't know themselves. Why? Because the black the white mom literally did not try to put that knowledge of the black side on the white, on this biracial kid. So this kid grew up, feeling like, like an outcast, where she or she is not loved, where he or she is confused about their identity, whether he or she is wondering how they can take care of their hair because the white mom did not know how to manage the biracial kid hair. And kids, when they grow up becoming adult, they're confused. And some of them end up becoming victims. They're like, oh, the white side that doesn't love me, or the black side that doesn't love me. So who am I? They end up, if you look on social media platform, they're like confused. They're like, okay, so who am I? Why am I not being identified as a white person? Why is it I'm not identified as a black person? So they have this confusion. Why? Because the white mom did not take her time to teach, to learn, and teach their kids about the black side plus the white side. They did not take the time to input the worth about this kid, that okay, you're loved whether you're white or black by both sides, because you deserve it. They never did that. Or most of them, they end up saying, I don't know how to take care of this kid. I don't know. They use that word, I don't know. So if you don't know about something, then do your research, because this information is out there. Google is free of charge. YouTube is free of charge. All this information is there. There's a whole university out there of free information. All you need to do is just go out there and say, okay, I want to learn about how to raise my biracial kid as a white mom. So where do I need to start? If you want to teach your kid how to make their hair, go on YouTube or even Google, like how to manage my biracial child hair. There's that whole content out there free of charge. If you want to teach the kids about the black roots, YouTube is there free of charge. You need to teach them those kids, because then as a parent, that is your work. That is what you need to, because at the end of the day, you're bringing up this child to become a future adult. And what you do when they're kids is what's going to determine when they grow up. That's what's going to give them their identity. So yes, you need to do that work. So there's nothing of becoming a victim, like, oh, I wish I never did. Oh, no, there's no victimization here. You found love outside your race, good. Now you're raising a biracial child. So you do your part by giving them knowledge of both sides of the community, so that this child find pride in he or herself, in identity, by owning up both sides of the spectrum. That's what you need to do. So this victimization you need to stop it. So let me know what your thoughts are, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Kindly subscribe to my channel.